Hey guys, so welcome to Coronavirus and Property. So today I want to talk about, are tenants keeping their end of the bargain in keeping rent flowing, and also are the landlords actually keeping their end of the bargain, which is, using the flexibility that were given through the mortgage payment holiday, and is everything working out? Are people, is the rent kept flowing? And I guess it is really a stress for both parties, for tenants and landlords. Now, I'll start off by saying this. It has created a massive amount of work. We have over 1,250 properties all around the UK. And in looking at the team that deal with this and that are constantly on the phone and constantly getting emails, and the phone calls are going up and down, the emails are really just constant. But unfortunately, right now there's more emails and phone calls than there is days or hours in the day, and so that's really causing some stress for my guys. But they're holding well together, and actually, surprisingly, to answer your question, we went into lockdown on the 23rd. Okay, so the first rounds of rents, if you like, if we just say they all come in at the start of the month, which they don't, they come in throughout the month. But for the most part, there was about 3.1% arrears, which that's normal. So actually, for the April 1st rents that come in, not much change in terms of rents. There was a few rents not come in, but for the most part, everybody paid their rent, which is great news, okay? And if it can stay like that throughout the whole time, fantastic. But I think that's more a case of the fact that things weren't really, and tenants really didn't know what was going on, and landlords hadn't had a chance to react and all this sort of stuff. So I think what we've seen now is that number go to about 11% of inquiries. So 11.3% I worked it out at, but the reality is that's inquiries saying, tenants saying, yep, I'm having problems, I've been made redundant, I'm not going to make my payment. But actually, there hasn't been a huge explosion in tenants not paying rents or tenants, not doing that. Now, yes, there's a lot of inquiries, and it could get to, if everyone who said they're having problems doesn't pay their rent in total. But remember, that's 11.2%, 11.3% of inquiries saying that I'm going to struggle to pay my rent. Some of those people are happy to pay 80%, and defer the other 20. A lot of people come on concerned that they've lost their job and they're not sure where, and we point them to, and I've got another video on this talking about how you should be going to gov.uk, and I actually show you step by step. So if you're a tenant, jump on there and have a look at that video, because it'll show you step by step what you need to do to claim universal credit and all these sort of things that you have access to. The government in the UK has been fantastic in what it's done and its approach to things. So make sure you use that, because for the most part, you'll find that the stress that you've got about paying your rent, actually the government can take that away. Now, if you're self-employed, yes, it may be a case of, hey, I'm not going to be able to pay, I can pay 50%, and then in June I get my first payment, or hopefully sooner, I get my first payment, and then I can look at things. So I think if you look at that, that really has taken a lot of the stress and worry away for both tenants and landlords, But look, there is a lot of cases where, as an agent, we've got to go between the tenant and landlord and try and negotiate a deal and negotiate an outcome that works for both parties. Because remember, not everybody has that mortgage payment, ability. And in fact, Mortgages for Business, the guy in charge of it has already come out and said, you're a bunch of mugs if you're taking advantage of this and you don't need it. And, which, okay, I get it. He's obviously frustrated because it might be affecting his cash flow. But for me personally, I'd be saying, well, actually, if you can take advantage of it up front, even if you don't need it right now, get it in place, because it may be that your tenant doesn't pay and doesn't communicate with you. Because this is, I'm sure the tenants that are watching this aren't these type of tenants, but there are a lot of tenants who have basically rung up and said, I'm leaving the property, I'm out, see you later, I'll leave the keys at reception. And literally we've had that done. We've had people who've gone, I'm from Italy, China, India, Brazil, Singapore, like all these different places that have basically said, I've lost my job, I'm going home, see you later, and just left. And we've had some who have even left without even telling us where the keys are, so that's hugely disappointing for the landlord, because now we've got to go through an abandonment procedure and all that sort of stuff, and it just shouldn't be like that. I mean, those pricks, for doing that. I mean, I get that their situation, but just to, pluck their head in the sand and bugger off. They could have at least done the right thing. But anyway, that's a very, very small minority. But we are having some of our landlords who have multiple properties who, one landlord has got 5 properties, that basically the tenants are able to pay, or are able to pay in a limited manner. So there's a lot of different circumstances, and our team are dealing with that. And I'm sure this is happening all around the UK. The interesting thing too is we're getting a lot of landlords coming onto us because their local landlord hasn't contacted, their local agent hasn't contacted them, hasn't given them any information, hasn't really done anything, just basically gone, right, we're furloughing, we're out, and we'll work it out, as and when. And, so they don't know where their rent's coming, they don't know. I mean, these stories are starting to come out about agents who potentially have shut down, so who knows? So there's a lot of things like that which are going on in the industry, and right now everyone's working really hard. That is working. It's just unfortunate that a lot of the local agents, the smaller agents, haven't been able to keep going or haven't been able to continue providing enough information. And I get it. We're spending a lot of time with landlords and a lot of time with tenants, but for the most part, actually, both parties and the agents are working really well together. And I think that's because the government have created a really good environment for everybody to, make the best of this situation, because it is a crappy situation. There's no two ways of putting that. There's no sugarcoating of this. But yeah, I mean, look, if you're a tenant out there, good on you guys. But I would say the best thing you can do is before you call your agent, go onto the government website and identify what you can get. You may find that you don't have to actually forego any rent or forgo anything like that. That you can continue to keep the rent flowing because the government's going to pay you or top that up, or that universal credit thing, fantastic thing. But there's also, depending on your situation, there's other opportunities too. And it may just be a case of saying, hey, I can't do it now, but it's 5 weeks until I get my first payment, if not before. But even that, the universal credit, you can get an advance on that. So look at these sort of things that are available. There's some fantastic schemes out there. I've got another video which talks about, the various things that are on offer and you can go for. Look at that stuff. This is the time now. You've been paying your taxes, you've been doing all that sort of stuff. This is the time now where the government has stepped up, and they have stepped up. So fantastic to them, and good on you, Bojo and Rishi show. You're doing a good job so far. Even though, a lot of people are maybe not giving you the credit, actually, look at the US. It could have gone a lot worse, unemployment, at 18%, 22 million people made unemployed. That's pretty significant. That hasn't happened in the UK. And I think, touch wood a little bit here, is that, we've got through this first phase of the viral. Now we're going to go through the next phase, which is how do we reopen? What's the process of doing that? And I think that's the next thing to look at. But, look, generally, guys, tenants, pat yourselves on the back. Landlords, pat yourselves on the back. The system is working pretty well. And yes, there's the people that aren't doing the right thing. And yes, there's the landlords saying they owe me the rent, they pay the rent, they do this, and being totally unreasonable. But it's such a small proportion of people. And it's unfortunate that things are going to make the news are those, people that aren't being reasonable. By far the majority of people are being really reasonable, really generous, really understanding, and it's working. It is working from our perspective, and looking at it, across 1,250 properties or 1,274 properties or whatever it is, it works pretty well, looks pretty good. So, keep it up. And if you are struggling, the best thing to do is speak to the government, then communicate with your agent, landlord, depending on who you're working for. Get that communication happening. And if you want to, if you're working with another agent, by all means, jump on my site, because I've got lots of information coming out for tenants and for landlords. Whether you're working for us or not, it's on my YouTube channel all the time, keeping things up to date, keeping things real. This is there's no BS about it. This is what's happening on the coalface for a lot of people. And look, there is a lot of agencies that have closed down, that don't have the ability to keep going and keep providing the services that perhaps we can, because we've got a sizable business in that. But look, guys, keep it up, and stay safe, stay healthy, and stay at home. And we'll see you again tomorrow. See you later. Bye.